Right. So then we are moving to the next area. So we have completed few chapters up to now. Chapter number 1, then we cover chapter number 2, 3, 4. In chapter number 1 we identify what is strategic management. Chapter number 2 we look at about the external environment. Chapter number 3 we look at about the strategic position, that means the internal environment. Then chapter number 4 we look at about this SWOT factors. Then we are moving to the next one, the strategy formulations. So we look at about the first questions. Question number 18, N airline. Look at the requirement here. Differentiate between the concept of mission and objectives, 4 marks. Part B, using example, demonstrate how the mission for N airline could be translated into strategic objectives. How many marks? 10 marks. So first of all, you have to understand the difference between mission and the objectives. If you look at about the theory aspect related with this, actually we discussed vision mission under chapter number 1 actually, right, but that should be normally considered under strategy formulations, that is true. So look at what is vision, missions and values. So what is vision? So vision is the ultimate goal of an organization. This is the final target you are planning to achieve. The big picture of how the company sees the future. Now what is mission? Now look at the definition related with the mission. Mission describes the organization basic function in society in terms of the product and services it produces for its client. So mission describe the organization basic function in society in terms of the product and services it produces for its client. So what type of product and services you offer to the society. Then objectives, you know the relationship between goals, objective and the target. Here examiner has focused on the objective. Look at the definition regarding the objectives. Objective could be described as something that the organization want to achieve within the period of business plan. Objectives can be fairly specific. Good objectives are SMART. So normally it meets the SMART criteria. Good objectives. Right. So we will look at about the requirement in the questions. The first thing we have to do is differentiate between the concept of mission and objectives. So how can we do a differentiate? between two concepts, mission and objectives. So, when examiner asks you to differentiate, the best way is to do is start from the definitions. So, you can start from the definition. So, what you can do is, you can first of all you can define what is mission, then you can define what is objectives, mission and the objectives. So, how we have defined the missions? We say that it explains the organization basic function in the society. Explain or describe, explain organizations basic functions in society, in terms of the goods and services it produces for clients, in terms of goods and services produce for its clients. Explain organization basic function in society in terms of the goods and services produced for its client. So, you start the definition regarding mission, then objectives. You can come up with the definition regarding the objective also. This is something we are planning to achieve within the time period of the business plan. Or if you come for definition, we can say objectives normally fairly specific, relatively short term performance target, fairly specific, relatively comparably short term performance target, and normally objective should meet SMART criteria. And this is before that actually you can mention that this is something we are trying to achieve within the time period of the business plan. We are trying to achieve this one within the time period of the business plan. Within the time period of the business plan, right. Then so your examiner asks you to differentiate now. You define what is mission, you define what is objectives. Then you can provide more information if you want, right. What are the further information you can tell about, for example, what are the characteristics of missions, similar to SMART criteria mentioned, mission characteristic. For example, mission normally include the purpose of the organizations, purpose, strategy is another part, then policies and standard used by the organizations, then the values of the organizations, purpose, strategy, policies and standard, and the values. You mentioned that one also, characteristic of the mission statement, right. Then you can identify some relationship also What is the relationship normally? Normally we identify objectives to achieve the mission. Or in other words, objectives are derived from the mission. By looking about the mission, we set the objectives. Right. So, or in other words, objective translate mission into achievable performance targets. This translate mission into achievable performance target. Achievable performance target. Right. So, what are the different strategic objective they can have? Some example. Have they given any mission statement? Yes. Right. So, we will try to identify the mission statement of them. Given what the mission given of this organization's mission is to be market leader, providing unrivaled customer service, in fight comfort, and reliability in the short haul airline industry. The missions they have given. Right. So, we will look at about the questions facts given also to get more understanding. I did not go through the facts given, we will look at about the facts given. Look at an airline operate in the short haul flight industry. Look at that one very carefully. Short haul flight industry. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද මේ දිගු ගමන් යන්නේ මේගොල්ලෝ යන්නේ බොහොම කෙටි ගමන් තමයි මේගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් උදාහරණ ලංකාවෙන් ඉන්දියාවට කියලා කියන්නේ බොහොම කෙටි ගමනක්. මේ ලංකාවේ ඉඳලා ඇමරිකාවට කියන්නේ දිගු ගමනක් නේද? Right. So in airline operate in the short haul flight industry, unlike many of its competitors who are constantly seeking to reduce cost, often at the expense of customer service. Look at that one. Unlike many of its competitors who are constantly seeking to reduce cost, often at the expense of customer service, the foundation of AN's business strategy is based on providing superior quality of service. Superior quality of service. Its mission is to be market leader, providing unrivaled customer service. In flight comfort and reliability in the short haul airline industry. Any airline with its customers as central strategic development and value its staff in building success. Right. So what are the areas we can focus here? So, now A part has been done, it is a theory, differentiate between the concept of mission and objective, we have done that one. Then part B, using example demonstrate how the mission point alignment could be translated into a strategic objectives. Now, we know the mission of the organization, we have identified that one mission. Now, we think about some of the strategic objectives they can identify. If you go through the facts given, one of the things is to provide a superior quality of service, is one of the area they are focusing, right. So, missions, look at this mission one carefully, to be a market leader providing unrivaled customer service in flight comfort and reliability in the short-haul airline industry. So, based on that, what are the strategic objective we can identify? So, one thing is you have to think about the superior quality of service, always you want to maintain superior quality of service, superior quality of service. Superior quality of service, that is one. In addition that, what are the things they can focus? For example, increase sales, then reduce costs, you have to take action to reduce the cost, then increase market share, These are some of the strategic objectives they can focus. So, superior quality of service, increase sales, reduce cost, increase market share. For example, we will say for the next 3 years, we may identify to increase sales, say from 10 million to 15 million. Say this is year 0, this is year 3. Reduce costs, say now the cost is, we will say 8 million, say 9 million, sorry 7 million. Increase market share, we will say at the moment market share is, we will say 30%, increase up to 35%, like that, right. So, these are some of the areas where we can set strategic objectives, right. Since these are 6 mark questions, we do not want to go for in detail answer, but we look at about the examiner answer also. This 10 marks question mean within 18 minutes we have to write an answer on this. We look at about the examiner answer on this. Look at the missions, what the examiner tell. So, he has start with the definition of the mission. He has shown the Mintzberg definitions. We identify the same actually. Mintzberg says that mission defines the organization's basic functions in society in terms of the product and services it produces for its client. A wider definition of mission would include reference to 4 elements. He identifies characteristic also. Purpose is one element. He say purpose would differ among types of organizations, but would define why the organization was created. Yes, purpose may be differ from one organization to another. For example, there may be profit seeking organization, their purpose is to earn profit by selling goods. But if you look at an organization like Red Cross, their purpose is to enhance the society well-being. The strategy, the next point, strategy would define the nature of the organizational activities and would therefore cover misbird definition quoted above. I define what are the activities normally you are involved. The third element, policies and performance standard. Policies and performance standard as overall imperatives can be included in mission to emphasize their importance. Values. Values are the pervasive belief and attitudes that underpin the organization culture. So, that communicate the culture within the organization. For example, value, it may be integrity, it may be professional behavior, it may be teamwork. Those are part of the mission statement. If you read the mission statement so openly, you can find such statement. For if you look at about this company, one is the reliability, the 5 component reliability, right. So, those are some of the values they try to communicate to the customers. So, mission is therefore the overall definition of what the organization exists to do. Yes. Mission is therefore the overall definition of what the organization exists to do, right. That is why sometimes people say mission describe the organizational reason for existence. That statement is correct. Mission describe the organizational reason for existence, right. Then objectives, look at the objectives. Objectives are specific, well-defined target. Objectives are specific, well-defined target. Yes, whose attainment will support progress toward achieving the mission, that will support the achievement of the missions. They translate the generalized aspiration of mission into more specific, measurable and concrete terms that can be used to organize the organization work and provide specific target to measure its success against. Yes, it translates the mission into a measurable terms. They therefore flow from and support mission. Then look at highlighted point. While an organization generally has only one mission, it is likely to have many objectives. Yes, normally they have many objectives. These will be arranged in a hierarchy with a relatively small number of high level objectives directly derived from and supporting the mission. Yes, you get it from, you look at about the mission, from that you identify the respective objectives, and at the same time it is supposed to achieve the mission. Derive from and supporting the mission, and each of these being broken down into cascade of supporting departmental, functional and even individual supportive objectives. Within the organization you may have overall objectives, then divisional objective, then individual level objective. For example, sales rep, he may be given a sales target, right. So, part A has been completed. Then the strategic objectives for the line. So, what are the strategic objectives set by them? It is commonly considered that objectives should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic and time bounded. So, you talk about the SMART criteria. The last quality in the list is probably inappropriate for many strategic objectives since they will have continuing applicability. Yes, timeline 1. Now, they try to identify some objectives, strategic objective for this organization. One is high level of customer service. High level of customer service. A high level of customer service is clearly a major part of any airline strategic vision and is intended to constitute its chief point of differentiation from its competitors. Look at that point. High level of customer service is clearly a major part of any airline strategic vision and is intended to constitute its chief point of differentiation from its competitors. This might give rise to an objective such as one below. One example is given, right, to provide the highest level of customer service on the ground and in the air as measured by customer survey, unsolicited feedback and competitor benchmarking. It's a detailed one, or simply you can say have a objective to give a high customer service, but here it's a detailed objective is identified. The quality of customer service achieved will depend largely on the people who deliver it. Yes, whether the customer is getting the required service or not will depend on the people who deliver it. If customer get a required service, then they will have the required customer satisfactions. HRM objectives might therefore be regarded as subordinate to the overall customer service objectives. However, an airline may wish to elevate its HRM objective to the strategic level in order to underscore its commitment to and dependence on its staff. To optimize recruitment, selection, training, development, remuneration practice so that all staff have the ability and motivation to deliver the highest level of customer service. Yes. Then the second area examiner has identified is careful management of cost and revenue. We identify the same. We identify increased sales, then reduce cost. Careful management of cost and revenue. An airline business model will inevitably involve a level of cost higher than those incurred by its rivals. This must imply higher revenue from higher ticket prices. Which in turn will limit its market. Careful management of cost and revenue will be required if the companies to avoid cash poor prices. Yes, normally you have to reduce the cost, that is one area you have to focus. At the same time, you have to take action to increase the revenue. This is quantifiable in terms of gross and net margin, but the problem will be to set targets that are both adequate and attainable. An objective might be defined in terms of such as those below. Look at the objective he has set here, to manage the company's cost and revenue so as to facilitate the attainment of its objective for customers and staff while generating a gross margin of X point and a net margin of 5%. So, you want to manage cost and revenue that will facilitate the achievement of the objective for customers and staff, and while generating a gross margin of we will say 5% for example, and net margin of we will say for example 1%, like that, right. So we have done that questions also. Then we can move to the next questions. Question number 19, soft drink. So, first of all, we look at about the requirement here. Required, explain the impact these campaign have on A and B's profit and the overall profit earned by the soft drink industry using gaming theory to frame your answer. So, how many marks given for the questions? 10 marks are given for the questions. This question tests your knowledge in relation to game theory. So, under strategy formulation, you learn about the game theory. So, you should have an understanding about what is game theory to answer this particular questions. If you remember, this was discussed under the topic number 6, formulating and evaluating strategy. You may remember the content of that topic. We discussed the formulating strategy at the business level. So, under that actually we look at about some of the model introduced like Michael Porter's generic strategies, then Bowman's strategic clock, then Ansop product market strategy, then blue ocean and red ocean strategies. Then we discussed about the competitive strategy based on market position. Then the number 7 we discussed was strategic behavior and competitive market. Strategic behavior and competitive market. Under that we discussed the game theory. So, this question tests your knowledge on the game theory. So, what is game theory? Right. So, look at the definition regarding the game theory. Game theory is a term for an approach to the study of optimal decisions. So, under this particular approach, we study what is the best decision organization can take, right, taking into account the decision of competitors who are other players in the game. So, under the game theory what we do is we try to get the best decision by looking about what others are going to do in the marketplace. පැහැදිලිනේ අපි මෙතනදී කරන්නේ අපි බලනවා මාකට් එකේ ඉන්න අනිත් අය මොනවද කරන්න යන්නේ. We look at about what others are going to do in the marketplace. We are not going to do the same, right? We try to get the best decision by looking about what they are going to do in the marketplace, right? Who are other players in the game. There are two strategic options. Normally we have two strategic options. What are the two strategic options we have? One is a dominant strategy. Other one is a dominator strategy. What is the dominant strategy here? A dominant strategy is a strategy that is better for an organization than any other alternative strategy, no matter how competitor responds. This is the best strategy you can select. You don't worry how others are going to respond against you. So whatever the response they are going to have against your strategy, still this is the best strategy you can have in the marketplace. A dominator strategy is an alternative strategy. A dominator strategy is an alternative strategy that should not be selected. That should not be selected because there is a better dominant strategy that can be chosen. This is the alternative strategy you are having, but you should not select this. Why you should not select this? Because there is a better strategy that can be selected. For an example, suppose you can select cost leadership strategy or differentiation strategy. If you select the cost leadership strategy, suppose you can generate 10 million profit, but if you apply the differentiation strategy, suppose you can enjoy 20 million profit. So what is the strategy in that scenario you have to select? Is it cost leadership or differentiation? Should be differentiation. Why? Differentiations help to make more profit to the organizations. In the given example, it generates 20 million profit for the organizations, right? Differentiation 20 million, but cost leadership strategy only 10 million profit. Therefore, dominant strategy is differentiation. The strategy should not be selected, that is the dominator strategy should be cost leadership strategy. I think it is clear for you the meaning of a dominant strategy and the dominator strategy. Right. So, we will look at about the questions requirement also. Now, look at the requirement here. Explain the impact these campaigns have on A and B profit and the overall profit earned by the soft drink industry using gaming theory to frame your answer. Impact these campaigns have on A and B profit and the overall profit earned by the soft drink industry using gaming theory to frame your answer. Right. You have to look at about A profit, B profit, then the soft drink industry overall profit. Right. You look at about the facts given here. Firm A and B are the two market leaders in the soft drink market in a country, and between them they hold virtually 100% of the market share. So, only two firms, they enjoy the 100% of the market share. Firm A is considering launching a major advertising campaign because its marketing director believes this will not only increase its own sales and profit, but will also reduce those of its rival. So, their firm A is thinking to launch a marketing campaign, advertising campaign. Here the objective to increase their revenue and the profit. However, the market director in A has not considered B response. Firm B has become aware of A's campaign and is now considering launching a campaign of its own to restore its market share. They are also now thinking to have a similar campaign. At the moment, both A and B make profit of US dollars 250 million per year. Firm A is thinking of spending 25 million on its campaign because it wants a major campaign to generate a significant increase in revenue. The anticipated increase of the revenue resulting from the campaign is 75 million. Because A and B essentially share the market, its revenue increase is expected to come from customers who switch to it from B. Yes. So, B profit will be reduced, then the gain will be enjoyed by the A. Overall market sales will remain largely the same despite the advertising campaign, no increase in the sales, even though you have come up with the advertising campaign. Therefore, alongside A's revenue increase of US 75 million, B will suffer a revenue reduction of 75 million. So, when A enjoys 75, then what happen? So, B suffers 75 million loss. Consequently, at the end of A's initial campaign and the short term, B will have suffered reduction profit of US 75 million, while A will have enjoyed increase in profit of 50 million, because you have to reduce 25 million for the marketing cost. If B then run his rival campaign also costing 25 million, it will also generate 75 million additional revenue. Right. Now, they are also thinking now to have a campaign. Now, what is the requirement here? Explain the impact these campaigns have on A and B's profit and the overall profit earned by the soft drink industry using gaming theory to frame your answer. Right, we will try to analyze the scenario given here. So, now we look at about the option, that is one option, then we have firm A, firm B, then the total industry.
So, black again.
Total industry. Total industry. Right, option, first of all, we look at about the current situations, and these current situations, what the total profit enjoyed by firm A, it is 250 million. So, here I am identify the profit US dollars in terms of the US dollars, 250 million. Firm B, again 250 million. So, now the total profit of the industry is 500 million. What is the first scenario? First scenario is firm A launching advertising campaign. Advertising campaign by firm A. That is the first scenario. When advertising campaign is made by firm A, so what is the revenue gain of them? 75 million here plus what happened to the firm B? That one is reduced, but right, there is another thing happening. What is the other thing is happening is firm A has to spend 25 million for the advertising campaign, right. So, then what happened? What happened to the firm A income? That will be 300 million income, 300 million income, but here 225 million. Sorry, it should be 175. 475 million. Industry profit suffer 475 million. I think it is clear for you what I have stated. So, now what firm is going to do, they are coming up with advertising campaign. As a result of the advertising campaign, what happened? Firm income is increased by 75 million. So, what happened when firm A enjoy additional 75 million income, B is suffering from that. B's income reduce. So, here 75 million increase, B increase reduction of 75 million. Now, for the advertising campaign, A has to spend how much? A has to spend 25 million. So, it will be a reduction from the overall profit, right. So, then as a result, what happened to the industry? Industry profit become 475 million. Then the next thing what happened is advertising campaign by firm B. Firm B, they are also come up with advertising campaign. Now what happened? A sales reduced by 75 million. B increased by 75 million. 75 million. Then what happened to them? They have to spend 25 million on advertising campaign. 25 million. Now sales income of the A, this become 225 million. 225 million. This become, now this is profit actually, profit 225 million, this become 225 million. Now the industry profit become 450 million. Now this is the new situations, right. So what has happened is at the end, firm A become 225 million profit, firm B income is 225 million. Now the total profit of the industry is 450 million. Now what happened to the industry now? Earlier, industry had a profit of 500 million, now it has reduced to 450 million. 50 million profit reduction in the industry. Because of that advertising campaign, A spent 25 million, then subsequently B again spent 25 million to capture their lost market share. Now both suffer because of the advertising campaign. So what they had to do is, without spending money on the advertising campaign, enjoy the market share they had. If they behave like that, then they had the opportunity to enjoy higher profit in A case, if they remain in the current situation as it is, they had the opportunity to earn 250 million. B also had the opportunity of earning 250 million because of this advertising campaign, because of this response made by each one to capture more market share, ultimately result in reduction in the profit for both persons. Firm A income become 225 million, firm B income become 225 million, then as a result industry suffer 50 million loss. I think it's clear for you. This is an area, actually this was not tested in the chartered history. This was introduced in 2015 when the BVC subject was introduced to the syllabus. This game theory was there but never tested throughout the 5-year period. We hope this will be tested in your syllabus, so therefore give your attention on this. So we look at about the answer also. Now he has taken directly, so I did more illustration on this one for you. Now current point industry profit is 500 million, after advertise it reduced to 475 million. Then B advertise, what happened? It become 450 million. Interestingly, after the advertising campaign, both firms are worse off than they were before. Yes, after the advertising campaign, their situation become worst, and the industry profit has reduced by the cumulative cost of the advertising campaign. Yes, A spent 25 million, B also spent 25 million, then 50 was the expenditure they both made. Now the industry profit has reduced from that 50 advertising campaign cost. So overall the advertising campaign created lose-lose situations. It has created lose-lose situations. The figures show that although one firm can gain in the short run for a competitive strategy, in the long run both firms are likely to be better off by working together and not advertising rather than competing with each other. Short run one can get some advantage, but in long run what is the best strategy? Not to advertise and keep the current situation as it is. One of the assumptions of game theory is that the firm do not have any collusive agreement and do not know what the other is going to do. So and B must select their strategies based solely on the outcome which they think is best for them, regardless of the decision made by their rival. Under these circumstances, both firms will choose to advertise. Individually, they hope to increase their profit by advertising. However, collectively, this course of action caused them each to lose 25 million. Profit fall from 250 million each to US dollars 225 million each. Note, however, that this example assumes that there is no increase in the overall size of the market following the advertising campaign. Yes, we assume that there is no increase. The customer demand remain as it is. In practice, this may not be the case, as the advertising campaign might encourage additional people to start drinking soft drink, although they had previously brought neither firm A's nor firm B's drink. Yes, practically what can happen? So it may increase the total market. Right, with that we can complete the question number 19 also. So then we will move to the next questions, question number 20. GHK restaurants. So we look at about the requirement here. Part A requirement is to analyze the application of Porter's 3 generic strategies model to GHK, including how this could assist them in maintaining or improving the probability of their recurrence. How many marks? 12 marks. There is a note. What is the note? You are not required to suggest individual generic strategies for each of GHK's recurrence. So we look at about they may have given so many recurrence. There is no requirement to identify strategy on each one. There is no such requirement. Now, what is the requirement here? Analyze the application of Porter's 3 generic strategies. So, this question tests your knowledge on Michael Porter's 3 generic strategies, including how this could assist them in maintaining or improving the probability of their recurrence. So, you have to tell how this would assist them in maintaining or improving the probability of their recurrence. So, first of all, we look at about the theory part related with that, right. Then we will try to address the requirement. Anyway, look at the B requirement also. What is the B requirement? Advise how GHK could employ a range of organizational information system to support whichever generic strategy choose to adopt. So, question tests your knowledge on the information systems. If you look at about the things we have learned here, it can be ERP. So, you have learned little bit on ERP. Then you have learned on customer relationship management software, CRM software. You have learned about some of the e-procurement system. So, those may be the solution on this, right. So, first of all, we will look at about the 3 generic strategies. Then after that, we look at about the questions, facts given. Right. Strategy formulation at the level of the SBU, the business level, is concerned mainly with decision about product and markets. So, Michael Porter has suggested three generic business strategies. Why Porter has used the word generic? The generic mean these strategies can be used in any industry. There is no restriction of model application to certain industry. You can use these strategies in any industry. That is why generic word is used, common කියන එක. How many strategies identified by Michael Porter? He has identified 3 main strategies: cost leadership, differentiation and the focus. Actually 2 main strategies, that is cost leadership and the differentiations. Based on the selection of the market, you identify the third strategy also. What is the third strategy? That is focus. We have decided to operate only in a selected marketplace. The strategy is called as focus strategy. So, within the selected marketplace, narrow market segment, you can use either cost leadership or differentiations. If you use the cost leadership strategy in the selected marketplace, that is called cost focus. We use the differentiation strategy in the selected marketplace, that is called differentiation focus strategy. So, we look at about the meaning of each strategy also. First one is cost leadership. Under the cost leadership strategy, a particular manufacturer is trying to become the lowest cost producer in the industry. That is the objective. You try to produce the good at the lowest cost. So, what is the advantage of having produced the good at the lowest cost? If you produce the good at the lowest cost, that will allow you to offer the good at the lowest price to the marketplace. That is the advantage. There is a customer group who are always willing to buy the product at the lowest price. For an example, organization like Walmart, in Sri Lankan context, Cargill has tried to copy the strategy of the Walmart. Maruti vehicle, now they always try to communicate to the customer that their product prices are lower than the competitors' prices. The next strategy is differentiations. Under the differentiation strategy, we are trying to offer a unique product to the marketplace. Our product is different from other product available in the marketplace. That uniqueness may be created by using factors like quality, product features, innovations. For an example, organization like Toyota has focused on the quality of the vehicles. They try to brand them as quality vehicle manufacturer, car manufacturer, quality car manufacturer. Now, you already know the meaning of focus strategy. Under the focus strategy, we decided to operate only in selected marketplace without covering the mass market. For an example, you may decide to operate only in Western province. There are 9 provinces in the country. Without covering the whole country, you may take a decision to operate only in Western province. That is an example for application of the focus strategy. Within the selected marketplace, you have 2 options, either to use cost leadership strategy or to use the differentiation strategy. If you decided to practice cost leadership in the selected marketplace, that is called cost focus strategy. For an example, if you go to Pamunua market, what about the prices of clothing item? Is it high or low? Normally low. So, they practice the cost focus strategy. Sellers in that particular market is practicing the cost focus strategy. Then differentiation focus, in the selected marketplace, if you are going to offer a unique product to the customers in there, that is called differentiation focus. For an example, think about Rolex watch. Rolex watch offer watches for a selected segment. The rich people only can buy a Rolex watch. The price may be over 1 million rupees. So, quality watches offer to selected group in the market. That is an example for application of differentiation focus strategy. Actually, there are different ways of differentiating product or service. For example, the design is one area you can differentiate. So, you can focus on the features like quality or style to differentiate your product from the other product in the marketplace. Or another area is brand image. You created a brand image perhaps through marketing. So, then customers are willing to buy the product of that particular brand. Another way of doing that one is advertising, or another way is distributions. Differentiation can be ensured in the distributions. For example, say online these days, you say after you have made an online order, suppose within 2 to 3 hours if you receive the good, that indicate they have a fantastic distribution system. I have experienced that one with this GoMart now. They have very efficient distribution system. Within the day itself, in most instances they deliver the goods. So, they have differentiate themselves from the other supermarket in the industry. So, we will try to get more understanding on this. So, we are discussing about 4 touch generic strategies. So, we identify two main strategies. What are the two main strategies? Cost leadership and the differentiations. Then I told you we can identify the third one based on the selection of the market, that is focus strategy. If you decided to operate only in selected marketplace, that is called niche strategy, right, or focus strategy. So, if you look at about this, one area is to offer the good at low price or produce the good at the low cost option. Other one is the you focus on the uniqueness of the product, So, you have two market options, broad market options, other one is narrow market segment option, broad market option and the narrow market options. If you decide to operate in broad market and focused on producing the good at the lowest cost, the strategy is called cost leadership strategy, cost leadership. If you decided to operate in the broad market and try to differentiate your product from the other product over in the marketplace, that is called differentiation strategy. If you try to operate in narrow market segment by offering the good at the lowest price, by producing good at the lowest cost, we identify that one as cost focus strategy. And if you decide to operate in the selected marketplace by offering a unique product in there, that is called differentiation focus strategy. Differentiation focus strategy, right. Now, altogether we can identify two main strategies, cost leadership, cost leadership and the differentiations. Then the third one we identify based on the focus. Focus is the third strategy. If you decide to operate in the narrow market segment. So, altogether we can have 4 even, right, with the two branches of the focus strategy. According to the Michael Porter, it is not practical to implement two strategies parallelly. So, what are the two main strategies Porter has identified is cost leadership and the differentiations. Porter say it's not practical to combine these two strategies and apply. For an example, you can't offer high quality product at a low price, it is not practical. In other words, Porter say at one time a particular organization can apply only one strategy, either cost leadership or differentiations, not practical to mix them. But, right, is it practical? That is a separate question you have to address. According to Porter, if an organization is trying to apply cost leadership and differentiation strategy simultaneously, Porter say they will struck in the middle, very important word, struck in the middle. That means they will not achieve either cost advantage or uniqueness advantage. So you are struck, you can't go forward. But for the say, there is one exception on this. If you want to apply both strategies parallelly, there is alternative option. What you can do is, you can establish separate division of SBU with different policies and internal environment. You can establish separate divisions. They are not interacting each other. No relationship. Separate unit. Separate unit. Right. Then what you do is, you will have the internal environment required to apply each strategy. Is logical in some aspect. Why is logical? To use cost leadership, the internal factors to be met is different from the internal factors to be met when you are trying to apply the differentiation strategy. For an example, under the cost leadership, you will more concerned on the efficiency part. Differentiation, you will more focused on research and development and the innovations. When you are doing this research and innovation and research and development and make innovations, what will happen to the cost? Cost will be high. It is not practical to have some cost savings under differentiation strategy. That is why you know that customers are willing to pay even price premium to buy a differentiated product. No? Normally the price of the differentiated product is high. No? Yes. I think it is clear what is struck in the middle for you. So, we will look at about the questions. Now, here the part A requirement is to analyze the application of Porter's 3 generic strategies. 3 generic strategy model to GHK, including how this could assist them in maintaining or improving the probability of their reference. Right. Now, you have the theoretical knowledge on Porter's 3 generic strategies. Now, we will try to apply them for the given scenario. We will go through the given scenario. GHK is a restaurants chain consisting of 8 restaurants in an attractive part of European country which is popular with tourists. How many restaurants they have? They have 8 restaurants. So, we will try to analyze the situations. They have 8 restaurants. they have 8 restaurants. Try to analyze them. Right. Then what are the next informations? GHK has been owned by the same family for the previous 15 years and has always traded at a profit. So, this is a profitable business and was in the industry for last 15 years. However, number of factors have mean that GHK is now in danger of making a trading loss. Now, the situation is not favorable. A favorable scenario is going to become unfavorable. There is a possibility to make losses. There has been a substantial drop in the number of tourists visiting the region, whilst at the same time the prices of many of the foodstuff and drinks used in its restaurants has increased. Now, price of the foodstuff and the drink has been increased. Added to this, the local economy has shrunk with several large employers reducing the size of their workforce. Now, economy is also not growing well. The owners of GHK, we'll look at about that. The owners of GHK commission restaurants consulting consultant to give them an independent view of their business. They have appointed a consultant to get some comment about this struggling problem of the organizations. The consultant observed that 8 restaurants all very different in appearance. They are not the same, they are different in appearance. They also serve menus that were very different. For example, one restaurant which was located on a barge in a coastal town specialized in fish dishes. Now, they are giving information regarding different restaurants. One is a barge in a coastal town, fish dishes. One restaurant located in coastal town. So, what are the area they have specialized? Is fish dishes. Right. Whereas another restaurant 20 miles away had a good reputation as Stick House. Another restaurant, Stick House. The prices vary greatly among the restaurants. One restaurant in a historical country house of a fine dining and was extremely expensive. Historic country, what they do is fine dining. They mentioned that extremely expensive. Yet another located near a busy railway station served mainly fast food and claimed that its prices were the cheapest in town. There is another one near to railway stations, What about their prices? Their prices are the cheapest in town. Right. 3 of GM restaurants offer a middle of the road dining experience with conventional menus and average prices. Middle of the road dining experience. There are 3. 3 middle of the road. Middle of the road dining experience with conventional menus and average prices. Some of the restaurants had licenses which enabled them to serve alcohol and with their meal, but 3 restaurants did not have such licenses. One restaurant had a good trade in children's birthday parties. One restaurant had a good trade in children's birthday parties. We assume that it's a different one. Children parties. Children parties. Good trade in children's parties. Children's birthday parties actually. Children's birthday parties. Whereas the restaurants in the historic country house did not admit dinners under the age of 18. Historic country already we have identified that. Now we have information regarding 8 restaurants, no? So look at, you have to carefully go through. Right. Now I have identified the information regarding 8, here 3 middle of the road. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Then we look at about the balance information given also. Balance information given. The consultant recommended that GH should examine these differences, but did not suggest how. The owner responds that the chain had grown organically over a number of years, and that the location, style and pricing decision made in each restaurant had all been made at different times and dependent on trend current at that time. Right. Then we will try to analyze this. Now we have identified facts given in relation to the 8 restaurants. Accordingly, we found there are 3 restaurants, they are in the middle of the road. They have not specialized in either cost leadership or differentiations. Either cost leadership or differentiations. So according to Michael Porter, what do you think? What Michael Porter believe? Can we apply cost leadership and differentiations simultaneously? Can't. You are stuck in the middle. Now, if you are marketing as a group of a company, here we will say 8 restaurants are marketing as a group of a company, then what about the image they are going to give to the customers? Some of them are cheaper in price, some of them are unique. So they can't give one particular marketing message to the customers. So that is one of the problem they have, right? Now if you analyze these situations, what do you think about the coastal town restaurants? They have specialized in fish dishes. Fish dishes, there is a group of customers who want to enjoy fishes. Only a selected group. That means here what is the strategy they apply? They apply the focus strategy, only focusing on the customers who want to eat fish. Focus strategy. Stick house, you know what is stick? Google වලට ගිහලා ගහලා බලන stick කියලා. That's also අර එක හදන මස් හදන එක විදිහට fork one නම් stick විදිහට හදන්න පුළුවන් අර කුට්ටියක් වගේ ලස්සනට හදලා, right? So chicken, beef, anything you can make like a stick. In there also you target a particular customer group segment. Again the strategy applies focus. And there is another outlet, they have specialized in children birthday parties. Again you target a particular customer group, focus strategy. Here they have applied the focus strategy. Historical country one, fine dining extremely expensive. They try to offer a unique product to the marketplace. Unique product to the marketplace and charging a higher price from the customers. So what is the strategy they apply? Differentiation strategy. They apply differentiation strategy. Then near to railway stations, they are the cheapest in the town. So what is the strategy they apply? Cost leadership strategy. Cost leadership strategy. Now if you analyze this scenario, 3 restaurants is apply focus strategy. Focus strategy. 1 is applying differentiations. Another 1 is applying cost leadership. Then 3 are not applying one particular strategy, they are mixing the strategy. They are mixing. So that the analysis we can do on this, right. So we will look at about the examiner's answer also, what the examiner tell on this part A. Choosing a competitive strategy. Now first of all he explained some theory relevant to this. Porter's logic behind this, behind his 3 generic strategies model is that a firm should follow only one of the generic strategies in order to achieve competitive advantage. Yes, if you try to mix it, you will stuck in the middle. According to Porter, if a firm try to combine more than one of the strategies, it risks becoming stuck in the middle and losing its competitive advantage. Applying these ideas could help the owners of GHK assess whether their restaurants are following a coherent competitive strategy, either individually as group, or whether they are becoming stuck in the middle. If they are becoming stuck in this way, the lack of a clear strategy might be contributing to the decline in GHK profit. Yes, they want to look at whether they are stuck in the middle. Then Porter suggests firms should choose a potential strategy based on one of three generic strategies: cost leadership, differentiation or focus. Now look at the cost leadership. If GHK choose to become a cost leader, it must ensure it has the lowest cost in the industry as a whole. By having a lower cost base than its competitor, GH could achieve a greater profit than them, even if its sales price were the same as theirs. Although this aspect of Porter's study focused primarily on cost rather than price, it appeared that GHK restaurant near the railway is pursuing this kind of strategy, since it claimed to be the cheapest in town. Yes, we found the same. Near the railway station, one is the cheapest in town, they apply the cost leadership strategy. However, to maintain its profitability, the restaurants must ensure it can continue to keep its cost base lower than any of its competitors' cost base. However, to maintain its profitability, the restaurants must ensure it can continue to keep its cost base lower than its competitor cost base. Only one restaurants apply the cost leadership. Differentiations: if GHK chooses strategy of differentiation, it must deliver a product or service which the industry as a whole believes to be unique. Right? If GH chooses strategy of differentiation, it must deliver a product or service which the industry as a whole believe to be unique. As a result of this uniqueness, GHK will be able to charge its customers as a premium price. Yes, normally if you are applying a differentiation strategy, you can enjoy a price premium. Customers are willing to pay additional amount to enjoy the uniqueness of the products. It appears that the extremely expensive fine dining restaurants in the historic country house is charging a premium price in this way. Now look at that one. It appears that the extremely expensive fine dining restaurants in the historic country house is charging a premium price in this way. Yes, we identify the same as application of the differentiation strategy. However, to maintain its profitability, the restaurants must ensure it maintain its distinguishing features, be the quality of the menu, the service or the ambience. These features are what differentiate the restaurants from others in the industry, and they make attractive to customers even though it is charging a premium price. Then focus. A focus strategy will involve segmenting the industry such that GHK would then pursue a strategy of cost leadership or differentiation within a single segment of the restaurants industry. So, under the focus strategy, they only cover small portion of the total market where they can use either cost leadership or the differentiations. 3 of GHK's restaurants seem to follow in this type of strategy and tailoring their offering to a specific market niche. The lakeside restaurants, so we found the same, right? Specialize in fish dishes, yes, fish dishes. The steakhouse, we found the same, and the restaurants catering for children birthday parties. Struck in the middle, GHK has 8 restaurants in total. We have identified 5 of them as following one or other 4 generic strategies, but this means the other 3 are like to be struck in the middle. Yes, 3 have been mentioned that they are in the middle of the road. They can struck in the middle. In this respect, GHK need to look urgently at finding a way of establishing a competitive advantage for these 3 restaurants. This should allow them to improve their profitability. Strategy and marketing. We do not know whether all the restaurants in the chain are branded unilaterally as GHK restaurants or whether they have retained their own name as well, their own style and prices. Yes, if you try to use one theme, it's not practical because they are using different strategies. No, if GH is trying to run the restaurants as a single group under single brand name, then the analysis of the restaurant's current position indicate that the group as a whole is at risk of being stuck in the middle due to the diversity of its strategies. I mentioned the same point. So if you try to brand as one unit, it's not practical because customer will have confusing image about the organization. If they are separately branding the restaurant, then no issue. In this respect, Porter's generic strategies model suggests that GHK would be best advised to run the restaurants as separate business unit and to develop marketing strategies which support each restaurant's individual characteristic. Better to market them separately. However, even if GH choose to do this, it will need to consider whether the restaurant's current strategies can deliver sustainable competitive advantage. For example, the prices of foodstuff and drinks are rising in GH country, which will increase cost base. So, how sustainable is a cost leadership strategy, particularly as there is little evidence of specific technologies or processes which will allow GHK to sustain lower cost base than any of its competitors. Given the overall economic context in which GH is operating, GHK owners might decide that Porter's focus strategies offer them the most practical way of maintaining or improving the profitability of their restaurants. They may think focus as the best strategy by using either cost focus or differentiation focus. So, with that we can complete the answer for the part A. Now, we look at about the part B of the question also. Part B. Now, look at the part B, how many marks are allocated by the examiner? There are 13 marks allocated by the examiner. So, more marks than the part A. Therefore, you have to give more weight in the part B. Advise how GHK could employ a range of organizational information system to support whichever generic study choose to adopt. So, here it tests your knowledge on different information system GHK can adopt. So, what are the different information system they can apply in practice? So, one thing they will focus is on the customer informations. If they use centralized customer database where they collect information from different restaurants and keep in one place, that information will be very useful. Whatever the place customer go, so when you put the name maybe like customer phone number, then you can pick the customer information very easily, right. So, that is one area you can focus. You can maintain customer database. You can go to further step. You can use system like right. What are the different system you can use? Customer relationship management database, CRM software can be used. If you are using a CRM software, what you can do? What you can do is you can do more thing with the customers. For example, you can analyze the data of the customers and identify what are the menus customers are more interested. When there are some sales promotion campaign covering those dishes, you can pick the customers who are more interested on that, then you can send an email to that particular group. You can send an email. Email campaign can be launched covering only that particular customer group. Even when customers call, you can recognize who is calling from their phone number. For example, say MD Perra, you identify phone number as a customer key. The system capture the phone number when the customer call to you and reflect the name, then you can talk to the customer from their name. So that will give a more experience for the customer. Even customer complaint can be managed within the system itself. So CRM will be one of the best solution for this type of organizations. In addition to that, they can have some other system. What are some other system they can have? For example, they can think about the option of implementing a ERP system, enterprise resource planning system. Right? If their business activities are large, that will be one of the options. You know what is ERP? That integrate different functional areas together. Or maybe MIS, Management Information System, that will provide more information to the management about the business activities. Then there may be some transaction processing system, TPS system. For example, the sales guys, they may have a sales system. From that, invoices are issued to the customers. Those are some of the possible options, right? But I don't think that examiner will test this type of questions from you, since we are not much discussing information system in our syllabus. Right. Anyway, we will look at about the answer related with this also. So market share analysis, that is one information they are looking at. Look at about what examiner is telling on this. At a strategic level, GHK should try to get overall market revenue figures for the various market segment in which it operates and compare its own performance against these overall market figures. This will indicate whether its market share is increasing or decreasing, and therefore will give some indication of how successful GHK strategies are proving. This is one area you can concentrate. You must evaluate the market share you are having. This market share information normally can be found from the external environment. That is why this is considered under the strategic level. Top management normally consider on this. For that purpose, you can get some information system. You have to put some information within the system. From that you can find this. Then customer information. We do not know whether customers need to book in advance to eat at GHK restaurants, but it is likely they do for the fine dining restaurants and for the birthday parties at least. If GHK develop a website, yes, that is one of the possibility, developing of a website. If GHK develop a website which customers can use for booking, this will allow GHK to build up a database of contract. If customers give an email address when they book, GHK can use these addresses for future e-marketing campaigns. GH could also introduce loyalty card program as a way of getting a database of customers, finding out which of its restaurants they use and how frequently they use them. This loyalty card program, you can use that information for customer relationship management purpose. The best solution is to have a CRM system, actually software. Customer relationship management, then another thing you can do, that is trend analysis. Then you can have management information system also. GHK owners are clearly concerned about the performance of their business, therefore it will be important that they have timely and reliable management information which they can use to see how the restaurants are performing. This information system can generate more important information regarding the performance of the organization. For example, the owners might find it useful to have summary report which provide them daily or weekly snapshot of restaurants revenue and customer numbers and the gross profit margin at each of the restaurants. Then another one you can have is operational information system. We will look at what is operational information system. In order to provide this summary information, GHK will need a way of capturing detailed operation information. If the waiters and waitress in all the restaurants recorded custom orders on handheld personal digital assistant, this information from these could be captured and ultimately transferred back to a central data warehouse. You may have handheld equipment, from that data may be transferred to central data warehouse. The PDAs could capture, for example, customer numbers, the day and times of orders and the dishes being ordered. Analyzing this information could highlight, for example, whether some item on the menu more popular than others or whether some time of day busier than others. Yes, some analysis can be done based on those informations. This information could then be used to help the owners make decisions such as whether the menus need changing or whether the opening hours need revising. For example, if there are some items on the menu which do not sell well, they should be removed or replaced. Yes, you can analyze and find that one. Some of the menu which are not interested by the customers, if they were removed and the menu was shortened, this would mean that GHK needed to hold fewer ingredients in stock, which would be beneficial in a period of rising food prices. Equally, if there are times of day where customer numbers are low, the owners may decide not to open the restaurants all day, or they might decide to introduce some specific offers to try to attract additional customers during those peak period. Yes, we will say there are some time period you have found that very less number of customers. This you can find that one by analyzing the information through database in the database through information system. Then you can take decision, or you close down the restaurant during that particular time. We say, for example, say time between we'll say 3 to 5, right? You may take a decision to close down that one, or you may try to use some promotional method and to attract some customers during that particular period. In addition to the handheld PDS, the till in the restaurant should also be linked to a central data warehouse so that the management information system can update figures for sale receipt and cash taking on a real time basis. Yes, so when you are taking the cash, the till system should be connected to the central data warehouse, so it will update figures for sales receipt and cash taking on a real time basis. Given that GHK is now in danger of making loss for the first time, it will be important to be able to monitor sales figures closely to see what impact any new strategies have on sales and cash flows. Then performance informations. There is no indication that GHK has any key performance indicator for its restaurants. However, the information available from the operational information system could be used in KPIs. You know what is KPI now. The management account could report how well the restaurants are performing in certain key areas. For example, spend per customer head or spend per waiter. These again can provide useful headline information to the owners to enable them to see how the business is performing in areas which are critical to its success. Right. So with that we can complete the questions number 20.